The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor of the Eco Hotel ballroom, and 300 guests fell silent. Chioma Okafor stood frozen at the center of the room, her purple lace asoebi stained with wine, as her son David, the man she had sacrificed 23 years of her life to raise, stared at her with cold, unfamiliar eyes. "Tell them," David said, his voice carrying across the hushed reception hall. His bride, Kemi, clutched his arm, confusion written across her beautiful face. "Tell everyone here what you really are." Chioma's heart hammered against her ribs. Around her, Lagos society's elite, politicians' wives, business moguls, Instagram celebrities, pulled out their phones. She could see the red recording lights multiplying like demon eyes in the darkness. "David, please," she whispered. "Not here.
Not now."
Not now." David laughed bitterly. He turned to address the crowd, his designer tuxedo gleaming under the crystal chandeliers. "My mother wants to wait. She's been waiting 23 years to tell the truth. How much longer should we give her?" Chioma's sister, Ngozi, pushed through the crowd and grabbed her arm. "What is happening?"
"Talk to me."
But before Chioma could speak, David's voice boomed again. "Should I tell them, Mother? Should I tell them how you paid for my education? How you afforded that fancy apartment in Ikoyi? How you bought your way into this society you're so proud to be part of?" The room erupted in whispers. Chioma saw judgment crystallizing in every eye, women she had sat with at church, families she had hosted for Christmas, friends she had supported through their own crises. "I worked," Chioma said, her voice breaking. "I worked 3 jobs. I sold pepper and tomatoes at Balagan Market. I cleaned houses." "You were a prostitute." David spat the words like poison. The gasps were audible now. Someone's aunt fainted. Kemi's mother stood up, her face contorted with rage. Chioma felt the ground shift beneath her feet. 23 years of carefully constructed respectability crumbling in seconds. She had never told him, never wanted him to carry that shame. She had worked so hard to give him a different life, a clean beginning. "I did what I had to do to keep you alive," Chioma said quietly, tears streaming down her face. "Your father abandoned us when you were 6 months old. I had no education, no family support. I fed you. I clothed you. You disgraced me," David interrupted. "Do you know what Kemi's family will think? What my business partners will say? I've built a reputation in this city, and you've destroyed it in one night." "David, she's still your mother," Ngozi interjected, stepping forward. But Kemi's father, Chief Adeyemi, raised his hand. "This wedding cannot proceed," he announced. "My daughter cannot marry into such circumstances." Kemi was crying now, torn between the man she loved and her family's honor. David's face hardened further. "Get out," he told Chioma. "Get out of my wedding. Get out of my life." Chioma stood there, watching her son, the baby she had nursed through malaria, the boy she had tutored through secondary school, the young man she had sent to university in London, turn his back on her. The guests parted like the Red Sea as she walked toward the exit, their phones still recording, their whispers following her like ghosts. In the parking lot, Chioma collapsed against her car. The November Lagos heat felt suffocating. Her phone was already buzzing with notifications, the video was going viral. She could see the headlines forming. Prominent businessman's mother exposed as former prostitute at society wedding. Inside the ballroom, she could hear raised voices. Chief Adeyemi shouting.
Kemi crying.
David's angry responses. Ngozi emerged from the hotel, her face pale. "The wedding is cancelled. Chief Adeyemi is threatening to pull his investment from David's company. He's saying David deceived them, that he came from dirty money." Chioma wiped her tears. "How did he find out?" "I never told anyone except you." Ngozi's expression shifted to something darker. "That's what I need to tell you. I saw David's business partner, Emeka, in the corridor 20 minutes before the confrontation. He was showing David something on his phone. I think." Her phone rang. It was an unknown number. Chioma answered, her hands shaking. "Mrs. Okafor," a smooth male voice said. "This is Emeka Nwosu. I think we need to talk about your son's future and yours." What would you do if your past was exposed in front of everyone? Hit like if you've ever been judged unfairly, and comment where you're watching from. What do you think happens next? Comment below. Chioma sat in the small office of Emeka Nwosu's company in Victoria Island, her hands folded in her lap. Through the window, she could see the Lagos skyline, towers of glass and steel built on ambition and secrets. Secrets like hers. Emeka was younger than David, perhaps 30, with the predatory smile of a man who had learned early that information was currency. "You're wondering how I knew?" Emeka said, leaning back in his leather chair. "About your past. Tell me what you want," Chioma said flatly. The shock had worn off during the sleepless night, replaced by a cold clarity. She recognized his type. She had known many like him in her former life.
Direct.
"I like that." Emeka pulled out a manila folder. Inside were photographs, old, grainy images from the late 90s and early 2000s. Chioma saw her younger self in clothes she had tried to forget, standing outside clubs in Festac Town that no longer existed. "Where did you get these?" Her voice remained steady, though her stomach churned. "I have friends in interesting places. Private investigators who specialize in background checks." Emeka tapped the folder. "When David came to me last year wanting to expand the business, I did my due diligence. Found you. Found these. I've been holding them, waiting for the right moment." "The right moment," Chioma repeated. "You mean you sabotaged your own business partner's wedding?" "David's been getting too ambitious. Wants to push me out of the company we built together. He forgot that I know where all the bodies are buried, literally and figuratively." Emeka's smile widened. "But you, Mrs. Okafor, you're my insurance policy." "What do you want?" "I want you to convince David to sign over 60% of the company to me. If he doesn't, these photos go to every newspaper, every blog, every social media platform in Nigeria. Your face will be everywhere. And David's reputation." He snapped his fingers. "Gone." Chioma stood up. "My son just disowned me in front of 300 people. What makes you think he'll listen to anything I say?" "Because despite his performance yesterday, David loves money more than pride. And right now, Chief Adeyemi is threatening to destroy him. His company, his investments, everything. But if he gives me control, I can save it. I have connections Chief Adeyemi respects. You'll make him see reason." "And if I refuse?" Emeka's expression hardened. "Then I'll make sure everyone knows not just what you did, but who your clients were. Politicians, police commissioners, married businessmen. Some of them are still alive, still powerful, still very interested in keeping certain nights quiet." The threat hung in the air. Chioma had protected those men's secrets for over 2 decades, had buried those memories deep. But Emeka had dug them up. "I need time," she said. "You have 48 hours." Chioma returned to her apartment in Surulere, not the fancy Ikoyi address David thought she still owned. She had sold that property years ago to pay for his master's degree. This was reality, a modest 2-bedroom with peeling paint and unreliable electricity. Ngozi was waiting inside, pacing the small living room. "Where have you been?" "David's been calling me. The videos are everywhere. WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, everyone's talking about it." Chioma told her sister about Emeka's ultimatum. Ngozi sank into the threadbare sofa. "This is blackmail. We should go to the police." "And tell them what?" "That a man is threatening to expose the truth about my past? Everything he has is real, Ngozi. The photos, the names. I can't fight truth with lawyers." "But David." "David made his choice yesterday. He chose his pride over his mother." Chioma's phone rang. David's name flashed on the screen. She stared at it for several seconds before answering. "What do you want?" "We need to talk." David's voice was stripped of yesterday's righteous anger. Now he sounded tired, desperate. "Can you come to my office?" "Why would I do that?" "Because Chief Adeyemi is going to destroy me, mother. He's already started pulling investors. He's spreading rumors that I'm involved in fraud. My company is bleeding money. I need—"
He paused.
"I need your help." The irony wasn't lost on Chioma. Yesterday, I was a disgrace. Today I'm help. Please, David whispered. I'm losing everything. Chioma looked at Ngozi, who was shaking her head vigorously. I'll come, Chioma said. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. After she hung up, Ngozi exploded. Are you mad? After what he did to you? After how he humiliated you? He's still my son, Chioma said quietly. And something isn't right. David is proud, but he's not cruel. Someone manipulated him into that confrontation.
Emeka. Yes, but why?
What does Emeka really want? That night, Chioma couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling fan that barely stirred the humid air. Her phone glowed with notifications, people she hadn't spoken to in years suddenly very interested in her story. Some were sympathetic. Most were vultures. But one message stood out. It was from a private number. Mrs. Okafor, I have information about Emeka Nwosu you need to know. Meet me at Cafe Neo in Ikeja tomorrow at 7 a.m.
Come alone.
A friend. Chioma stared at the message. Was it a trap? Another manipulation? But what choice did she have? She was already caught in a web of deceit, and somewhere in that web was the truth. She typed back. I'll be there. What secrets is Emeka hiding? Who is the mysterious friend? Don't forget to like and subscribe to K-Smart's Mythic Tales for more emotional drama. What do you think happens next? Comment below. The morning air in Ikeja smelled of rain and roasted corn. Chioma arrived at Cafe Neo 15 minutes early, scanning every face for threat or familiarity. The cafe was half empty, a few university students hunched over laptops, a couple sharing breakfast. At 7:03 a.m., a woman approached her table. She was striking late 40s, expensive business suit, the kind of confidence that came from boardrooms and power. Her face was vaguely familiar. Mrs. Okafor, thank you for coming. The woman sat down without invitation. My name is Ada Namdi. I'm Chief Adeyemi's business attorney. Chioma's guard went up immediately. Chief Adeyemi sent you to humiliate me further?
No.
Ada's expression softened. Chief Adeyemi doesn't know I'm here. Neither does my client. I'm here because 23 years ago, you saved my life. The words hung between them. Chioma studied Ada's face more carefully, the shape of her eyes, the scar near her left temple. Festac Town, Chioma whispered. The girl at Mama Caro's place. You were 15? 14, Ada corrected. My uncle sold me to that brothel to pay off gambling debts. You found me crying in the bathroom that first night. Do you remember what you told me? Chioma did. She remembered every girl who had passed through those rooms, but Ada had been different, terrified, still innocent. I told you to run, Chioma said. I gave you money for transport. I never saw you again. You gave me 3,000 naira, your entire earnings from that week. I took a bus to Abuja, to my mother's cousin. She put me through school. Ada smiled, tears glistening. I became a lawyer because I wanted to help women who had no voice. Women like you were then. Like I was. Chioma felt something crack in her chest. Why are you here now? Because Emeka Nwosu is not who he claims to be. Ada pulled out her own folder, this one much thicker. He's been blackmailing people for 5 years. Businessmen, politicians, society women. He collects secrets and sells them to the highest bidder. How do you know this? Because he tried to blackmail Chief Adeyemi 2 years ago. Photos of an affair. The chief paid him 2 million naira to keep quiet. But I kept investigating. Emeka has a network. Private investigators, corrupt police officers, hackers. He targets families with new money, people like David who've climbed fast and have something to hide. Chioma's mind raced. David doesn't have anything to hide except me.
Exactly.
But you do. And through you, he can control David. Ada pushed the folder across the table. Look at page 12. Chioma opened it. There were bank statements, wire transfers, emails. All showing payments from various Lagos businesses to shell companies owned by Emeka. He's been bleeding David's company for months, Ada explained. Small amounts hidden in fake vendor contracts. David doesn't know yet. But when Chief Adeyemi's forensic accountants find it, and they will, David will be accused of fraud. But David would never. David signed the authorization papers. Emeka forged some documents, manipulated others. Either way, David's signature is on everything. He'll go to prison unless someone can prove Emeka set him up. Chioma felt her world tilting again. Why are you telling me this? Because I owe you my life. And because I need your help. Ada leaned forward. Emeka keeps all his blackmail material in a safe in his office. Photos, videos, documents on at least 30 prominent Nigerians. If we can get that evidence, we can destroy him and save David.
We?
You want me to help you break into his office? I want you to distract him while I do it. Tomorrow night, there's a charity gala at the Civic Center. Emeka will be there. He never misses a chance to network. You'll approach him publicly. Tell him you'll convince David to sign over the company. Keep him occupied for 30 minutes. That's all I need. This is insane. I'm not some spy. No, Ada said gently. You're a mother who spent 23 years doing whatever it took to protect her son. Don't stop now. Chioma met David at his office later that morning. The space was sleek and modern, but she could see the cracks, the empty desks where staff used to be, the phones that weren't ringing. David looked like he hadn't slept. His designer suit hung loosely on his frame. Thank you for coming, he said stiffly, not meeting her eyes. You said you needed help. David paced to the window. Chief Adeyemi is destroying me. He's convinced every investor I'm a fraud. He's filing lawsuits. My accounts are frozen pending investigation. I'm going to lose everything. Why did you do it? Chioma asked quietly. Why did you expose me like that? David turned, and for the first time, she saw shame in his face. Emeka showed me the photos the morning of the wedding. He said if I didn't publicly distance myself from you, he would send them to Kemi's father. I thought if I rejected you first, I could control the narrative. But I made it worse. You believed him. I was ashamed, David admitted, his voice breaking. My whole life, I've been running from poverty. From Surulere, from Balagan Market, from everything that reminded me where I came from. When I saw those photos, all I could think was that people would know. That Kemi's family would know. That I was built on a prostitute's money, Chioma finished. I'm sorry, Mother. I'm so sorry. Chioma wanted to feel anger, but all she felt was exhaustion. Do you know what Emeka really wants? David looked confused. He wants me to give him controlling interest in the company. He says he can smooth things over with Chief Adeyemi if I do. He's been stealing from you, David. For months. And when the auditors find it, you'll go to prison while he walks away with everything. David's face went white. How do you? I have friends too, Chioma said, thinking of Ada. The question is, do you trust me enough to help fix this? David stared at his mother. This woman he had humiliated, betrayed, rejected. Then he nodded slowly. What do we need to do? Like and subscribe to see how Chioma takes down Emeka. What do you think of David's apology? Comment your thoughts below. The Civic Center glittered like a jewel box. Lagos's elite crowded the marble halls in their finest, lace gowns, Ibada robes, diamond jewelry that could fund small villages. Chioma stood at the entrance in a borrowed dress, her heart pounding so hard she thought everyone could hear it. Ada's voice crackled through the tiny earpiece hidden beneath her gully. I see him. Northeast corner, talking to Senator Balagan's wife. Are you ready? Chioma wasn't ready. She would never be ready. But she was her mother's daughter, a woman who had survived Festac Town, poverty, and public disgrace. She could survive this. I'm going in, she whispered. The crowd parted as she moved through it. She could feel their stares, hear their whispers. The viral video had made her infamous. Some people looked at her with disgust, others with pity, a few with grudging respect. Emeka saw her approaching and his smile faltered for just a moment before recovering. Mrs. Okafor, he said smoothly. I didn't expect to see you here. I came to talk business, Chioma said loudly enough for nearby guests to hear. About my son's future. Emeka's eyes narrowed, but he maintained his pleasant expression. He excused himself from Senator Balogun's wife and guided Chioma toward a quieter corner. "What are you doing?" he hissed once they were alone. "You have until tomorrow to—" "I'm here to tell you I'll convince David to sign the papers," Chioma interrupted. "But I need assurances. I need to know you'll destroy all the evidence you have." In her ear, Ada's voice. "I'm in the building. Keep him talking." Emeka relaxed slightly. "Of course. Once the company is transferred, all the photos, all the documentation, it disappears. You have my word." "Your word?" Chioma laughed bitterly. "The word of a blackmailer?" "A businessman," Emeka corrected. "This is Lagos, Mrs. Okafor. Everyone has secrets. I simply help people manage theirs." "Like you helped David manage his wedding?" Emeka's smile grew cold. David needed to learn that in this city, pride is a luxury. You pay your dues, or you pay the price. He thought he could rise without consequences. "I taught him otherwise." "Why do you hate him so much?" "I don't hate him. I'm teaching him." Emeka sipped his champagne. 5 years ago, I was like David. Hungry, ambitious, convinced I deserved a seat at the table. Then I made a mistake. I trusted the wrong person.
They destroyed me. Cost me everything.
So I learned. In Nigeria, you either control the game, or the game controls you. In her ear. "I'm at the office. 2 guards outside. Going to need more time." Chioma needed to keep Emeka here longer. "Tell me about your first target. The first person you blackmailed." Emeka studied her curiously. "Why?" "Because I want to understand the man holding my son's life in his hands." Emeka seemed to consider this. His ego, Chioma realized, was his weakness. He wanted to brag. "Chief Adeyemi," Emeka said. "He was having an affair with his secretary. I found out, documented it, approached him. He paid beautifully. That's when I realized. Everyone in Lagos is hiding something. Politicians and their mistresses. Businessmen and their fraud. Society women and their secret abortions. This city is built on lies, and I'm the librarian." "You're a predator," Chioma said. "We're all predators, Mrs. Okafor. You should know that better than anyone. The difference is I'm honest about it." Suddenly, Emeka's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression changed. "Excuse me a moment." He stepped away to take the call. Chioma's heart raced. Ada's voice urgent. "Security at the office is calling him. They saw something on the cameras. I've been made. Get out of there, Chioma.
Now."
But before Chioma could move, Emeka returned. His pleasant mask was gone. "You set me up," he said quietly, dangerously. "Where's your lawyer friend?" "The one from Chief Adeyemi's firm." Chioma backed away, but Emeka grabbed her arm. Several guests turned to look. "Let go of me," Chioma said. "Not until you tell me what you're planning. Did you really think you could outplay me?" Then David appeared, emerging from the crowd. Behind him, surprisingly, was Chief Adeyemi himself. "Let go of my mother," David said, his voice carrying across the hall. Emeka released Chioma's arm, but didn't step back. "Your mother is conspiring to steal from my office. She brought a thief to this event." "No," Chief Adeyemi said, his voice booming. "She brought a lawyer who's about to expose you." The crowd fell silent. Phone cameras appeared. Emeka's face went pale. "Chief, I don't know what she told you, but—" "She told me everything," Chief Adeyemi said. "About the blackmail. About the payments. About the 30 other people you've been bleeding for years. Mrs. Okafor came to me this morning with evidence. I called in favors. FCC is already at your office." It was a lie. Chioma and Ada had made no such approach to the chief. But Chioma understood. Chief Adeyemi was saving face, pretending he'd been in control all along rather than a victim himself. Emeka's eyes darted between them, calculating his escape. Then he bolted. He made it 5 steps before security guards grabbed him. The crowd erupted in gasps and excited chatter. In Chioma's ear, Ada's voice, breathless with laughter. "The EFCC story was brilliant. I got everything. Every file, every photo, every piece of blackmail material. And I recorded his entire confession just now. You're a natural spy, Chioma. But Chioma wasn't listening to Ada anymore. She was watching David, who was pushing through the crowd toward her. He reached her and, in front of everyone, in front of their phones and their judgment, he pulled her into an embrace. "I'm sorry, Mama," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." Chioma held her son and cried, not tears of shame this time, but of relief. Later that night, in Ada's office, they reviewed the evidence. 37 people Emeka had blackmailed. Millions of naira stolen. Dozens of forged documents. "He'll go to prison for years," Ada said. "And with this evidence, we can clear David's name completely." "What about the photos?" Chioma asked quietly. "The ones of me?" Ada smiled and held up a flash drive. "You want to destroy them? Or keep them as a reminder?"
Chioma thought about it.
Those photos represented years of pain, survival, sacrifice. But they also represented strength. They represented a woman who had done what she needed to do to save her son. "Destroy them," she said finally. "That chapter is closed." But as Ada deleted the files, Chioma's phone buzzed. Another private number. Another message. Destroying Emeka's files was clever. But did you check who his silent partner was? The person who really ran the blackmail operation? Look at the bank records again. Foundation of the account holder. You'll want to sit down for this. A friend. Chioma's blood ran cold. She grabbed the folder of bank statements and began flipping through them frantically. And there, on page 47, she saw it. The shell company's registered owner. The name made her knees buckle. It was Ngozi,
Her sister.
her trusted confidant, her betrayer. Share this episode if you're shocked. Who do you trust when family betrays you? Comment below. What do you think happens next? Chioma sat in her car outside Ngozi's house in Bagada for 20 minutes before finding the courage to knock. The evidence was in her bag. Bank statements showing Ngozi as the silent partner in Emeka's blackmail enterprise, transaction records going back 3 years. 3 years. While Chioma had struggled to pay rent, Ngozi had been profiting from other people's pain. The door opened. Ngozi stood there in her nightgown. Surprise and something else. Was it fear? Flickering across her face.
Chioma.
It's almost midnight. Is everything? We need to talk. Chioma pushed past her sister into the modest living room. It was too modest, she realized now. For someone supposedly earning a teacher's salary, Ngozi's home was suspiciously sparse. No new furniture, no luxury items. The money was hidden somewhere else. What's wrong? Ngozi asked, closing the door. Emeka Nwosu had a partner. Someone who provided him with targets, inside information, access to people's secrets. Chioma threw the folder on the coffee table. Someone like you. Ngozi didn't pick up the folder. She didn't deny it. She simply walked to her small kitchen and poured 2 glasses of water, her hands remarkably steady. How did you find out? Ngozi asked. The calm admission hurt more than any denial could have. So, it's true. You were helping him blackmail people. Helping him blackmail me. Not you, Ngozi said quickly. I never wanted him to target you or David. That was all Emeka. He found those photos on his own. When he told me his plan, she stopped, set down the water glasses. I tried to stop him. You tried to stop him, Chioma repeated incredulously. But you didn't tell me. You didn't warn David. You let him humiliate me at that wedding. I was scared. Ngozi's composure cracked. Emeka said if I told you, he'd expose everything. Not just your past, but mine too. What past? You were a teacher. You lived a clean life. I was never a teacher, Ngozi interrupted. That was a lie. I was with you, Chioma. At Mama Caro's place. I worked there too. The room tilted. Chioma grabbed the sofa for support.
No.
You were in university. You were studying. I dropped out after first year. Papa died, remember? There was no money. You were already working at the brothel, sending money home to Mama. I couldn't let you carry everything alone. Ngozi's voice broke. So, I came to Lagos. Found Mama Caro. Started working nights. Different rooms, different clients, but the same building. I never saw you there. Because I made sure you didn't. I worked different shifts. Used a different name. Mama Karo kept our secret because I paid her extra. Ngozi wiped tears from her face. You were so determined to save me from that life. How could I tell you I was living it too? Chioma felt like she was falling through ice. All these years. I got out the same time you did. When you left to raise David properly, I left too. Built a new identity. Got a fake teaching certificate. Emeka helped with that, actually. That's how we met. He was selling forged documents back then. And you became partners. He offered me a deal. He said we both knew what it was like to survive by any means necessary. Why not profit from other people's secrets? I told myself it was justice. We'd suffered. Why shouldn't the rich and powerful pay? Ngozi laughed bitterly. But really, I was just greedy. Tired of being poor. Tired of pretending. Chioma stared at her sister. This stranger wearing Ngozi's face. You could have told me. And have you look at me the way you're looking at me now? With disgust? With disappointment? Ngozi shook her head. You were always the strong one, Chioma. The one who sacrificed. I was just the weak little sister who couldn't save herself. That's not true. It is. Ngozi's voice rose. You sent money for my education. You protected me from Papa's beatings. You worked those streets so I wouldn't have to, except I did anyway because I was too proud to let you do it alone. But you never knew. You got to keep your image of me as the innocent one you saved. And I got to keep lying. Chioma sat down heavily. Outside, Lagos hummed its midnight song. Generators rumbling, dogs barking, distant music from a nearby bar. Emeka is going to prison, Chioma said quietly.
He'll tell them about you.
About the partnership. The money. Everything. I know. Ngozi sat down across from her. Ada called me 2 hours ago. She offered me a deal. If I testify against Emeka, provide evidence of his blackmail operation, she can probably get me immunity. Community service instead of prison. Will you take it? I don't know. Ngozi looked exhausted. Part of me thinks I deserve prison. For what I did. For what I almost let happen to David. But another part. She met Chioma's eyes. Another part is still that scared girl at Mama Karo's, doing anything to survive. They sat in silence. 23 years of sisterhood built on partial truths and necessary lies. The anonymous messages, Chioma said suddenly. The friend warning me about Emeka. The one who told me to check the bank records. That was you. Ngozi nodded. I couldn't let him destroy David completely. Even if it meant exposing myself. Why help me at all? You were making money from this. Because you're my sister. Because David is my nephew. Because... Ngozi's voice broke completely. Because I'm tired, Chioma. Tired of being two people. Tired of lying. When I saw what Emeka was doing to David, to you, I realized I'd become the thing I hated. I'd become one of them, the people who used us, who saw us as things to exploit. Chioma thought about Ada, the girl she'd saved 23 years ago, who'd grown up to save her in return. She thought about cycles of pain and cycles of redemption. Testify against Emeka, Chioma said finally. Take Ada's deal. Do the community service. And when it's done, we'll figure out how to be sisters again. Real sisters. No more lies. You can forgive me? I don't know, Chioma admitted. But I can try. Isn't that what family does? Ngozi crossed the room and embraced her sister. They held each other and cried, for the girls they'd been, for the women they'd become, for all the years of secrets between them. 3 days later, Ngozi sat in an EFCC interrogation room and told them everything. Every target, every payment, every forged document. Her testimony would put Emeka away for 15 years. Chioma watched through one-way glass as Ada took notes, building the case that would clear David's name and restore his company. David stood beside his mother, his hand on her shoulder. Aunt Ngozi helped do this to me, he said. But she's also helping fix it. How do you forgive that? One day at a time, Chioma said. Like everything else we've survived. But as they left the EFCC building, Chioma's phone rang again. The mysterious friend had one more message. Emeka and Ngozi are finished. But there's one more secret you need to know. About David's father.
He didn't abandon you.
He was murdered. And the person who ordered it is someone you know very well. Meet me at the National Theater tomorrow. 3 p.m. Rooftop.
Come alone.
This is the last secret. I promise. Chioma felt David's concerned eyes on her. Mama? What is it? She looked at her son. The man she'd raised alone. The man she'd always told that his father abandoned them. Could she bear to tell him the truth? The National Theater stood like a monument to forgotten dreams. Its brutalist architecture, once a symbol of Nigeria's cultural ambitions, now crumbled quietly in the Iganma sun. Chioma climbed the service stairs to the rooftop, her heart pounding with each step. The view from the top was staggering. Lagos sprawled beneath her, chaotic and beautiful. The harbor glittered in the distance. Traffic crawled like insects along the expressway. A woman stood near the edge, her back to Chioma. She wore a simple dress and headscarf, her posture regal despite her modest clothing. When she turned around, Chioma gasped. "Hello, Chioma," said Mama Caro. The woman who had run the brothel in Festac town looked older now. 23 years would do that, but her eyes still held that calculating intelligence that had both terrified and protected the girls under her roof. "You," Chioma breathed. "You've been the mysterious friend all along? Sit." Mama Caro gestured to 2 plastic chairs someone had left behind. "We have much to discuss." Chioma wanted to run. This woman represented everything she'd tried to forget. But she needed answers more than she needed escape. "Why now?" Chioma asked, sitting. "After all these years, why contact me?" "Because Emeka made a mistake. He went after you, and in doing so, he threatened to expose a network of secrets I've been protecting for decades." Mama Caro pulled out a worn photograph, including the truth about Chidi. Chidi, David's father. Chioma hadn't heard that name spoken aloud in over 20 years. "You told me he abandoned us," Chioma said, her voice shaking. "That he ran off to Abuja with another woman." "I lied." Mama Caro handed her the photograph. It showed a young man, handsome, gentle-eyed Chidi, standing next to a much younger Mama Caro outside a building Chioma didn't recognize. "Chidi was my nephew. My sister's only son." The world tilted again.
"What?"
"He met you at that party in Yaba. Fell in love immediately. He told me all about you. The beautiful girl studying nursing, full of dreams. He wanted to marry you properly, bring you to meet the family." Mama Caro's voice was distant, remembering. "But then your father died. Your mother got sick. You had Ngozi to support. The nursing school fees. I dropped out," Chioma finished. Chidi tried to help. He worked 3 jobs. It wasn't enough.
"So you came to me?"
"Asked for work. Any work." Mama Caro lit a cigarette. "I should have turned you away. But I was running a business and you were desperate. I gave you the job." Chioma remembered that night. The shame, the necessity, the feeling of her soul cracking as she walked through Mama Caro's doors. "Chidi left me when he found out what I was doing." "No," Mama Caro said firmly. "Chidi loved you more after he found out. He came to me, begged me to let you go, said he'd pay your debt himself. He started borrowing money from dangerous people to buy your freedom." Chioma felt tears streaming down her face. "I never knew. You were 8 months pregnant with David when Chidi came to me with enough money to clear your debt and set you up properly. He was so happy, Chioma. He had a plan. You'd move to Ibadan, start fresh, raise the baby away from Lagos." Mama Caro's voice cracked. "But the men he borrowed from wanted their money. When Chidi told them he needed more time, She stopped, couldn't continue. "They killed him," Chioma whispered. "They dumped his body in the lagoon. The police never investigated, just another poor man dead in Lagos. It happens every day." Mama Caro wiped her eyes. "I told you he'd abandoned you, because I thought it would hurt less than the truth. And because I was afraid." "Afraid of what?" "The men who killed Chidi were connected to some of my clients. Powerful men. Politicians. If they knew Chidi had family asking questions, they might eliminate those family members too. So, I lied to protect you and the baby." Chioma stood up. walked to the edge of the rooftop. Below, Lagos continued its endless hustle, unaware, uncaring. Who ordered it, she asked. Who gave the order to kill Chidi? Mama Karo was silent for a long moment. Then, Chief Adeyemi. The name hit Chioma like a physical blow.
No.
That's impossible. Chief Adeyemi has been helping us. He exposed Emeka. Chief Adeyemi has been covering his tracks, Mama Karo corrected. When Emeka started his blackmail operation with Ngozi, they dug up old files, old connections. They found evidence linking Chief Adeyemi to Chidi's murder. That's why Emeka had so much power over him. That's why the chief paid the blackmail so easily. Chioma's mind raced. But at the gala, he helped us. He pretended to be in control. Because I approached him first. 2 days before the gala, I went to the chief and told him I had evidence of Chidi's murder. Evidence that would destroy him and his political career. I offered him a deal. Help take down Emeka, restore David's company, clear your name publicly, or I'd go to the press with everything. Why would you do that? Why help me? Mama Karo stood, walked over to Chioma. Up close, she looked ancient, worn down by decades of secrets. Because I failed, Chidi. I failed to protect my nephew from those vultures. But I could still protect his son. When I saw that wedding video, saw David reject you, I realized he didn't know. Didn't know what you'd sacrificed. Didn't know what his father had sacrificed. Didn't know the love that went into his creation. You could have told me years ago. Told David. And what? Give you closure while putting you in danger? Chief Adeyemi is powerful, Chioma. He has people disappeared. I had to wait until I had enough leverage to force his hand. Mama Karo pulled out another envelope. But now you have a choice. Inside were documents, police reports, witness statements, bank records connecting Chief Adeyemi to the men who killed Chidi. Evidence that would send the chief to prison for life. You can destroy him, Mama Karo said. Get justice for Chidi. But it will be messy.
Public.
David will learn everything about Chidi, about how he died, about the chief's involvement. It will reopen wounds just starting to heal. Or you can let Chief Adeyemi live with his guilt. He's already agreed to become David's mentor, guide his business, introduce him to legitimate investors, ensure he succeeds. The chief has no heir. His only son died years ago. He sees David as a chance at redemption. Mama Karo met Chioma's eyes. Chidi wanted David to have a better life. This guarantees that. But it means letting his killer go free. Chioma stared at the documents. Justice or mercy?
Truth or peace?
There's one more thing, Mama Karo said quietly. Chief Adeyemi's son, the one who died. He was killed by the same men who killed Chidi. Same organization, same violence. The chief has lived with that guilt for 15 years. He knows he created the monster that devoured his own child. That doesn't excuse what he did to Chidi.
No.
But it might explain why he's trying to make amends now.
Chioma didn't go home that night.
She walked through Lagos, through the streets of her youth, past Mama Karo's old building, now a church, through Suraleir's cramped neighborhoods where she'd raised David alone. She thought about cycles of violence and cycles of grace, about justice and revenge, about what Chidi would want for his son. By dawn, she'd made her decision. 2 weeks later, Chioma stood in a small church in Ibadan. David was beside her along with Ngozi out on bail, awaiting sentencing, Ada, and surprisingly, Chief Adeyemi. They were burying a memorial stone for Chidi Okonkwo. There was no body. The lagoon had claimed that 23 years ago, but there could be remembrance. Chief Adeyemi had funded the memorial. He stood apart from the others, shoulders bent with shame. After the brief ceremony, David approached the chief. Chioma held her breath. "Thank you," David said, "for coming, for honoring my father." The chief's eyes filled with tears. "Your father was a good man, better than I ever was. He died because..." He struggled with the words. "Because of injustice. Because this city rewards the wrong people.
I can't undo that.
But I can make sure his son succeeds where others failed him." David nodded slowly. He didn't know the full truth. Chioma had decided he didn't need to. Some truths created healing. Others only created hatred. She'd chosen the former. 3 months later, David's company was thriving under Chief Adeyemi's mentorship. Emeka was sentenced to 15 years. Ngozi completed her testimony and received 2 years community service. She now worked at a women's shelter, helping survivors of trafficking. Kemi had come back to David. The wedding had been rescheduled, smaller this time, more intimate. Chioma wore a beautiful iro and buba that Ada had bought her. As David and Kemi exchanged vows, Chioma thought about all the secrets that had led to this moment. The lives given, the lies told, the sacrifices made. After the ceremony, David pulled his mother aside. "I never apologized properly," he said. "For the first wedding."
For what I said.
You don't need to," Chioma interrupted. "You were manipulated. You were scared. We all were. But you never stopped fighting for me. Even when I rejected you, you still saved me." "That's what mothers do," Chioma said simply. "We love even when it's not returned. We sacrifice even when it's not appreciated. We endure." David hugged her tightly. "I'll spend the rest of my life trying to deserve you." "You already do," Chioma whispered. "You already do." That night, alone in her apartment, the one in Surulere she decided to keep despite David's offers to buy her something better, Chioma opened the envelope Mama Caro had left her. Inside was a letter from Chitty, written the day before he died. Mama Caro had kept it all these years. "My dearest Chioma, tomorrow I will have enough money to buy your freedom and give our son the life he deserves. I know you think I should leave you, that you're not worthy of love because of what you've had to do. But I see the truth. You are the strongest, most courageous woman I've ever known. Whatever happens, remember that our son was created out of love. Real love. The kind that doesn't judge, doesn't abandon, doesn't fail. Raise him to be brave like you. Teach him that survival is not weakness, it's the greatest strength. I love you, Chioma. I have always loved you. I will always love you. Your Chitty." Chioma held the letter to her chest and cried, for Chitty, for herself, for all the years of lies and secrets. But also for the truth finally revealed, the healing finally begun. Outside her window, Lagos sang its night song. Tomorrow, the hustle would begin again. But tonight, in this moment, Chioma Okafor, former prostitute, betrayed mother, survivor, warrior, allowed herself to rest. She had endured. She had overcome. She had won. And somewhere, she believed, Chitty was finally at peace. The end. Thank you for watching The Faithful Mother Betrayed by the Son She Sacrificed Everything For on K-Smart's Mythic Tales. This story reminds us that sacrifice, resilience, and love can overcome even the deepest betrayals. What did you think of Chioma's journey? Would you have made the same choices? Share this video with someone who needs to hear a story of strength and redemption. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more powerful African stories. Comment below what you want to see next. Where are you watching from? Until next time, remember, your past does not define your future. Your courage does.